Hello, I've been looking at some verses from Paul's first letter to the Thessalonians. So it's the first letter, chapter 2, verses 1 to 12. You know, brothers, that our visit to you was not a failure. We had previously suffered and been insulted in Philippi, as you know. But with the help of our God, we dared to tell you his gospel in spite of strong opposition. For the appeal we make does not spring from error or impure motives, nor are we trying to trick you. On the contrary, we speak as men approved by God to be entrusted with the gospel. We are not trying to please men, but God who tests our hearts. You know we never used flattery, nor did we put on a mask to cover up greed. God is our witness. We were not looking for praise from men, not from you or anyone else. As apostles of Christ, we could have been a burden to you. But we were gentle among you, like a mother caring for her little children. We loved you so much that we were delighted to share with you not only the gospel of God, but our lives as well, because you had become so dear to us. Surely you remember, brothers, our toil and hardship. We worked night and day in order not to be a burden to anyone while we preach the gospel of God to you. You are witnesses, and so is God, of how holy, righteous, and blameless we were among you who believed. For you know that we dealt with each of you as a father deals with his own children, encouraging, comforting, and urging you to live lives worthy of God, who calls you into his kingdom and glory. So it's interesting historically, really, because these letters from Paul to the Thessalonians, the two letters, are among the earliest Christian writings to have survived. So they were really significant pieces of writing, and they were essentially written to encourage this very early Christian community to keep faith in difficult times. Really, it wasn't straightforward. Because Paul and Silas, during their time of teaching in Macedonia, had established the first Christian church there. And this first letter was written a few months after their departure. So there's a lot in there, isn't there, which is affirmative, really, and Paul recalling how he and Silas had worked amongst the Thessalonians. And a lot of it is really trying to affirm authenticity, isn't it? And motive, really, because we know that Paul suffered a lot of adversity during his travels, and there were a lot of other voices, a lot of opposition to Paul's teaching, and the stakes were high. So I think it reads, doesn't it, in these verses from the first letter in chapter 2, that what Paul's doing is affirming really what their motivations and their purpose was. He's keen to point out that they weren't in it for themselves, trying to be the big thing, and that they had an almost paternal attitude, didn't they, to the people that they were teaching. As apostles of Christ, we could have been a burden to you, Paul writes, but we were gentle, like a mother caring for her little children. You were witnesses further on, and so is God, of how holy, righteous, and blameless we were among you who believed. So there's a lot here of Paul justifying their own authenticity and methods, really, and purposes. And of course, when we get to the end of these verses, urging you to live lives worthy of God, who calls you into his kingdom and glory. And there, of course, is the ultimate purpose and the authenticity of this teaching. And it rings down through the ages to us today, doesn't it, as Christians practicing now, reading these really early writings they're as significant to us now. Authenticity, which voice to listen to, who to accept, and so on, is still there today, and it's something that as Christians clearly we contend with. So very old writings, but as significant to us Christians now as they ever were. So thank you.